You can actually use a biological neural network to do the same kinds of computation that you can with an artificial neural network, but with substantially less data requirements and substantially less energy requirements. So yeah, this is something that I've been doing for a while.
Hello, Robert. Thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
So let's just jump straight in. So what are the brain-computer interfaces?
What are brain-computer interfaces? So they are devices that take signals from the brain and then translate those into some kind of output. So for example, you can have brain-computer interfaces to control robots. That's what I work on. Controlling robotic arms, quadrupeds, so robots with legs. But you could also have brain-computer interfaces that decode speech. So if you can't speak, then you can speak using these sorts of things. And they don't have to be in the brain. They can be non-invasive, so you kind of just put on a cap at an EEG, and then that will record your brain signals.
Okay. And you've been working on it for how long?
Yeah, so I've been working on that for, I want to say 2 years now, 2 or 3 years. And really most of that, the first few years were really just getting to grips with what these things are, because when I first discovered them, I honestly thought they were magic. But now I kind of know what I'm doing, and now building out these different actual useful things.
Awesome. And yeah, how did you find yourself in this? Like you were always, I guess, interested in some kind of tech, but yeah, tell us a bit more, like what really fascinated you about this
Yeah.
specifically.
So I started university doing biomedical science, and I didn't super like the idea of working in a lab, and I'd started reading into neurotechnology in general, like neurotechnology for treatment of, I think it was PTSD. And at that point, that's when I discovered brain-computer interfaces and started reading about it. I just thought it was really cool. So then I decided that I wanted to do that. I wanted to build a brain-computer interface to control a robot arm, and then I did a master's, realized that it's not something that you can just simply do, and then started to go into a PhD to do that.
Okay. And are you like finishing the PhD or kind of drop that to work on the project or?
No, so I'm still doing my PhD, and will continue in the neural interfacing, brain-computer interface field past that as well.
Okay. So tell us about some of the like most interesting applications of the technology, like what really some like maybe even longer term ideas that really got you hooked.
Okay, so I think what's really interesting you can think of it from two perspectives. You have non-invasive brain-computer interfaces. So this is brain-computer interface I'm going to just call them BCIs, that go on the head. You can take them off. So they're really good for gaming. I think that's what we're going to see very, very soon. Not only that, there's been a lot of work working on ear-based BCIs. So they kind of just go around the ear or in the ear. And I think there's going to be some really cool developments there for people to monitor their brain just in every day. That's quite exciting. That's going to be quite soon, I think. And then on the other side, when you think about invasive brain-computer interfaces, that's when you start to be able to get signals that are really useful for controlling robots with lots of degrees of freedom. And then you can also do things like stimulation of the brain. And I think that in that case, you're going to finally get devices that will allow people to actually improve the quality of life and control robots, control screens. There's a few companies around the world doing exactly this in different ways, and also combining it with AR. That's something I actually want to do myself. Actually will be doing that in starting this month. So I think the combination of BCIs with other technologies is actually going to be quite exciting.
And how far away? So do you think these like chips in the brain, or how, I don't know how these devices would exactly look like? How far away do you think this future is?
For like the everyday person, I would say definitely more than 10 years from now, just because of how clinical trials have to happen. You need to make sure that these things can stay in and be safe for extended period of time, so you have to wait that period of time. But in terms of whether they work, they do work. Like you've got companies like BlackRock Neurotech and Neuralink that have shown that they work to control video games, to control robots. In terms of, and then the only kind of problem right now is that long-term viability. So more than 10 years, I'd say, for you and I to be using them. And within that, for some very niche clinical applications.
Okay, but cockroaches are using them already?
Yeah. So you can implant circuit boards into cockroaches, and this is technically, I wouldn't call it a brain-computer interface because they don't have a brain as such, but it's neural interfacing. And then, with that particular application I'm thinking of, it's only stimulation. So you only apply the electrical stimulus to the cockroach to make it do stuff. But then you can also record from them as well if you have the right circuit board. And like these are called cyborgs because you're combining a biological substrate with a mechanical substrate, and you can do stuff with these. So that's been in research for quite a while.
Right. And so you said that there's a company selling these chips, which you can like do-it-yourself sets for like implementing this into cockroaches. And you wanted to get that, and then like on the other end, plug in the
oh my god, yes,
like to control it with your brain.
Yeah, that's that's something that I'd wanted to do. Ended up not doing it because I'd realized someone else had already done it, so there's kind of no novelty there. But it's entirely possible. Like I've seen a bunch of papers using different types of brain-computer interface to be able to control cockroaches, to make them move left or right, which might be a little bit unethical, but it is quite cool. Like it's a brain-to-brain interface.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, you wanna tell us a bit more about your cockroach story?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I wanted to build something actually quite useful with these cyborgs, with these cockroaches, and just life got in the way, and instead of being able to go ahead and just do this all in one go, I bought the cockroaches. I had bought everything that I needed, but then had to go to a conference to present. And so what I had done is I'd left these cockroaches in my desk at university, and I'd went off to the conference. That everything was fine, and when I came back, allegedly sightings of baby insects that may or may not have been cockroaches were seen, and one thing led to another, and I got into a little bit of trouble, but not really that much trouble about these cockroaches with the university, and I had to like take the entire desk out. Well, actually, no, the desk was taken out for me, and I had to like remove the cockroaches out. And the reason why that happened was because I'd lost the key. So I was going to bring them home, and everything would have been fine, but I lost the key. And now these cockroaches that were potentially escaping were locked in my office in the desk.
And what I love the most about this story, you said like that you got like 5 different species of cockroaches.
Yeah.
And you might have come up with some new ones with
Hopefully
in the process.
Hopefully. I have Madagascan hissing cockroaches, light-head cockroaches, Blaberus giganteus, which are the American giant cockroach, and dubias, which are like just a standard cockroaches that most people use. And hopefully, well, I don't know if I should say hopefully, but something happened and I've made a new species. But I don't think they can.
That's cool. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, like going back, so is the okay, the reading the brain interface that reads the signal from the brain, but you said there's also the kinds of that like use brain matter to like do actual computing. So
Yeah.
like having AI models running on actual brain cells.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. It's quite a new field. I say new in that it's new because it's kind of gotten bigger now that a few companies have done some very interesting things, but it's been around for a while, the field of biocomputing and organoid intelligence. The idea that you can actually use a biological neural network to do the same kinds of computation that you can with an artificial neural network, but with substantially less data requirements and substantially less energy requirements. So yeah, this is something that I've been doing for a while, basically training neural organoids, which are three-dimensional neural cultures, to start to process data. I'm super early in the process. I've founded a startup with a friend of mine named David. Just want to shout out David. He's going to Cambridge. He's gonna also be culturing the organoids. So I'll be doing the computational side. He'll be growing them. But we will basically be trying to make this the new form of AI. At that point, is it even artificial? It is just the natural intelligence.
Right.
But I think, when you think about this, a lot of people kind of look at the negative side of it being a living thing. But the reality is, or at least just in my personal view, we need to reduce the amount of energy we consume, and also we are running out of high quality data. You will definitely start to see online all of the articles about AI models being trained on AI generated data. So it's not even just that we're running out of data in of itself, it's that the data that we have as well isn't even that great to learn from. And these sorts of systems, because of how they function, they're able to learn in ways that artificial neural networks just aren't. And that means that they can learn better, learn more, and continuously learn, which is really what we've been striving for with artificial neural networks anyway.
Do you think people will at some point be able to rent their extra processing power from the brain and plug into this super intelligence tool for processing and earn tokens?
That's an interesting thought, actually. So, not in the way of like biocomputing. I don't think I would want someone to be able to use my brain processing power as a GPU like it was like no. But it's interesting to think about like the brain is this computational machine. It could I can't think of how it would work, but I could see a future where when we have these systems that are artificial and they're like super smart, and then we want to kind of give value to human-based computation, tokenizing some kind of process that someone's doing and recording the EEG data might come about.
Cool. And do you also see a potential for a dystopian, like Matrix-like future where humans are grown in pods and just like used for processing power?
I really hope not. Oh my God, I really hope not. I mean, I see more, rather than using the whole human, because biocomputing isn't just neural cells, right? So we've worked on neural cells because we're humans and we think that our brain is the best computational engine on the planet. But it's not. Mushrooms have been shown to exhibit electrical activity as well, and the mycelium network underneath them are also able to do the same kind of biocomputing, or at least because they show electrical activity, they should also be able to do this. And like lots of studies have shown that mushrooms or the mycelium show intelligent behavior. So, and then also the exact same thing can be seen in cultures of bacteria. You can use bacteria as biocomputers. So I can see a future where hopefully we're not plugging in humans into anything to do computation, but actually we're just using the nature around us to do computation. I think that would be beneficial, actually.
It's definitely a preferred scenario.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, what to end on this more optimistic note, like I mean, I found the whole topic pretty optimistic. I just wanted to throw this a bit potential dystopian futures, more so for fun. But yeah, like what's something that really excites you about the whole field, or like what are the next frontiers that you see developing, emerging, and yeah, what keeps you going in the field?
In like biocomputing and brain-computer interfaces?
Yeah, or related
Or related?
fields.
I think it's kind of, well, for me, I like to combine things. I mean, that's literally what interfacing is, combining things together. And I think what's really interesting is the space when you combine all of these things together. So, I mean, brain-computer interfaces, but then you have, some kind of biocomputing system to help with the processing. That's definitely possible, and I can see that. To like improve how the algorithm that's decoding the brain works. That's one thing that's really cool. If you look on the biocomputing side and focus on like neurons, psychedelic drugs have been shown to, I don't want to call them drugs, but like psychedelic agents have been shown to grow neural cells and allow them to form more synaptic connections. So we could even see a future where we're not just doing biocomputing on regular neural cells, we're doing biocomputing on neural cells that we've given psilocybin, because they'll be able to learn more and learn faster. And that's like a genuine thing that's probably going to happen. And then, in terms of all of this, at least with kind of where we're thinking of going with the biocomputing is processing data from sensors and then robots. So controlling robots, this would kind of make an entirely new type of organism. And then the same sort of ideas with giving that psilocybin to increase its learning capacity, but then also within all of these things, but biocomputing and brain-computer interfaces, I've started to think about how blockchain is going to be a super necessary component to make sure that everything's secure. So I think that's what keeps me going, just what's going to happen at the intersection of all of these things, neuroscience, technology, pharmacology, Web3. It's going to be quite cool.
Definitely. And I also found really interesting, like what you were talking about previously, how it's not just about brains, but also like mycelial networks and stuff like that. So I remember reading this research about how trees use the mycelial network to kind of communicate and direct resources in the forest, stuff like that. And so like being able to, at some point, plug our own sensors into mycelial networks and like these living systems and kind of get data directly from that.
Yeah.
And that I find it super fascinating.
Yeah, that would definitely be possible. At least to be able to use these sorts of things as computers. I think what's really cool about mycelium as well is that you can shape the network using magnets. You can't do that with brains. It's neurons. It's quite hard to get the neurons into a particular shape, but with mycelium you can. So we could potentially see futures where we have computers that contain mycelium, because you can now make them compact and have a whole component that is just a fungal computer fungal processor.
Right. Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, anything else that you want to share on the topic, or yeah, if not, then I will ask you about Zuzalu.
No, I think that's everything. Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah, so like, what brings you to this community, like Zuzalu? Like, what got you into Zuzalu? And then yeah, you kind of told us already why you're here, but yeah, tell us more about how you see Zuzalu and why you think it's an important experiment.
Yeah. Yeah. So how I got into
Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah. So how I got into all of this is actually quite funny. So I gone to a conference and someone had told me about this kind of place where people are self-govern, and they didn't know the name of it. And I that was it. I just kind of stayed in my mind for a little bit, and I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find anything. And then I went to another conference and I saw that same person. So then I kind of made them tell me, okay, what is this place called? And it wasn't Zuzalu, is I was actually Vitalia, but that's how I kind of got into this space. I um, went into the different groups, met a lot of people, discussed experiments, planned experiments, found out about DSci London, met Barrett and Erin, became a Muse Matrix fellow, and then they kind of opened my eyes to the whole sort of Web3, DAO, Zuzalu, all of these things were what I learned as part of this fellowship that I'm part of. So yeah, that's kind of how I came into it. And then in terms of what I think about it, I think it's definitely the direction that technology needs to go in, and society needs to go in. Maybe not the entirety of society, but I really, really resonate with the ideas of defensive acceleration, and I just kind of believe in what people are doing. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what you were previously saying, how you like combining different things, and that's what Zuzalu is about, like all of these different frontiers, like from longevity to AI and well, brain-computer interfaces, Web3. It's kind of bring all the best minds from all these different frontiers together.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly what we need, and you don't really get that. I mean, there's a lot of talk now in like the, I guess, traditional academic space about being interdisciplinary and collaborating, and previously that wasn't always the case. Now it's being pushed forward, but that's kind of the core thing about Zuzalu. It's bringing people together in this one space to be able to ideate and build things, and I really like that.
Right. Right. Any closing thoughts in general?
I am really hopeful for Zuzalu. I'm really hopeful for Zuitzerland. I'm hopeful for Next Gen Village. I really think that what people are trying to do here, or in the whole movement and space, is needed. And yeah, that's just my closing thought.
Actually, that I forgot to ask you. You reminded me of your thoughts on the Next Gen Village itself.
Yeah, so my thoughts on Next Gen Village itself, it's a very ambitious project. I would be very skeptical if this was being done in the UK. I'm more optimistic because it's not being done in the UK, being done here in Switzerland. And I think that if they're able to, or at least Switzerland is able to also incorporate Swiss governance into the process, then it could be really, really good. The space is amazing. I think that it could really serve as a place for really good tech development. And in general, I'm just hoping to see at least half of the vision come into fruition, because if half of the vision comes into fruition, then that's going to be a really good place. And all of the things that we've spoken about in terms of governance and just how something like this would run, I can see that there are still some things to figure out, but the way that we go about talking about it and figuring it out, again, makes me really hopeful that something will come out of it. Because it's not like one person is steamrolling anything, it's actual conversation, which is really refreshing. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very cool experiment. Yeah,
Yeah.
people are gonna get to hear a lot more about it, because he deserves being talked about a lot more. It's really fascinating, huge experiment. All right, yeah, thank you for coming, and this is great.